Okay, oh, I forgot to connect it. So today we are graphing equations in what's called intercept form. It's where it's already factored, and the numbers that I have inside the factors are where it crosses the x-axis. So we'll see in just a second. Okay, so if I take a look at this, notice it's in parentheses. I can graph this on the calculator just as it's given to me. So if I go to y equals, I want to clear out any equation that's already there. The negative out front, I want to be sure to use the white negative on the bottom of the calculator, because if I do minus, the calculator reads it weird. Okay, so then I'm going to go hit graph so I can see what this graph looks like. And if I notice, it's crossing at -1 and +5, which are opposite the signs of the two numbers in the parentheses. So I'm going to go sketch this graph on my paper. It's still not on the board. Why didn't you guys tell me? Well, it told me it connected on my side. That's why I was like... Sorry. Is it there now? There we go. Okay. So this is what it looks like, and I drew it on my paper. So I typed it in over here, and when I typed it in, I made sure I used the white negative out front, otherwise the calculator doesn't do it right. So, has everyone graphed it? Remember, you press the yellow graph button to actually see the graph if you forgot. Okay, so now it wants me to describe the domain and range. Do you guys remember what I told you about domain before the break? Yes, it's always all real numbers. And my range? So, remember, range is the letter Y, so I'm going to write Y. Is it going up or down? Down. So it should be greater than or less than? Less than or equal to, because it's going to be the top number. And if I go back to my graph, if I go look at the high point of my vertex, it'll give me my Y value. So, it says 8.9. I can assume it's 9. So, what I'm going to do is Y is less than or equal to 9. Questions there? Okay, number 2, I'm going to do the same way. I'm just actually going to graph it. I don't need to factor it. So I'm going to go to y equals, I'm going to clear out my old graph, then I type in the new one, 2x squared. Remember the exponent for squared is right here. And then minus 8. Okay, then I want to hit graph. Okay, so what is my domain here? All real numbers. Don't know why you were whispering that. Okay, and then my range is what? Yep. Y is greater than or equal to, what number is this? You can look at your calculator if that's easier. Huh? -8. Questions on number 2? Okay, on number 3, it wants me to find the zeros. So remember, anytime something tells me to find the zeros, oh, I also forgot to tell you before, it might say find the roots. Zeros and roots mean the same thing. So if you ever see that, it means the same. But anyways, if it asks me to find the zeros, what I do is I replace the f of x or y equals whatever's on the other side of the equation with a 0. And then I want to solve this. So remember, to solve something that is factored like this that equals 0, that's called the zero product property. I take each piece that's inside the parentheses and I set them individually equal to 0. So I have x minus 1 equals 0, and then x plus 2 equals 0. And then I solve them. So for the first equation, I want to add 1 to both sides, and I get x equals 1. And then on the second one, I want to do what with the 2? Subtract it. So I get x equals -2. Questions there? Okay. So 4 and 5 are also still finding zeros, but this time I need to factor. Okay. On this one, what do -2, -10, and -12 all have in common? What can I divide out of all 3 of those numbers? -2. So if I divide them, -2x squared divided by -2 is x squared. -10x divided by -2 is 5. And then -12 divided by -2 is 6. I'm looking for what multiplies to 6 and adds to 5. So what numbers multiply to 6 and add to 5? 3 and 2. Okay, then, because I'm finding the zeros, I want to take each thing inside of the parentheses and set it equal to 0. Because my negative 2 is not inside of parentheses and it doesn't have a variable, I'm not going to set it equal to 0 because I know 0 doesn't equal negative 2. So then I have x plus 3 equals 0, and then x plus 2 equals 0. And then on the first one, I subtract 3 from both sides. I get x equals negative 3. On the second one, I have x plus 2. What I want to do here is subtract 2 on both sides. And I get x equals negative 2. Questions on number 4. Okay, so same thing on number 5. I'm going to start off by setting it equal to 0. Then I'm going to split my two pieces up and set them individually equal to 0. On this one, I solve it like normal, I just add 1 to both sides. What's different about my second equation that I wrote? The x is squared. So that means I'm going to have to, at some point, get rid of the squared. What do you guys want me to do first here? Yeah, I can add 16 to both sides. So I get x squared equals 16. Yeah, so I want to take the square root, and you told me that would be 4. Could it also be negative 4 times negative 4? Yeah. So I'm going to put plus or minus. That means it can be both 2 positive 4s or 2 negative 4s. Okay. Oh, I want to pass that. And then I think there's one more on the back that I need to go through. Okay. Can I move onto the back? So it wants me to use zeros to graph this. Even though it says use zeros, I can still type this onto the calculator. So I'm going to go to y. Oh, I need to turn my calculator on. I'm going to go back to y equals, and then I'm going to type in my equation. So I have x squared minus 2x minus 3. And I want to go and graph that. This graph is crossing at negative 1 and positive 3. So when I draw it on my paper, I want to make sure it crosses at negative 1 and positive 3. And then I just kind of give her a rough sketch. And that's all this thing wanted me to do, just to graph it. So questions here on any of this?